Welcome everybody to another episode of Lockdown 23 and 1. Man, this morning was chilly. I had to pop on something a little bit warmer, but this puppy here has some hidden surprises. If you stay tuned to the end, I'll show them to you. But unfortunately today we have another story about an inmate losing his life in jail. That's right, not a prison, a jail coming from Texas. And it seems like there's been a tidal wave of stories coming about, man. Families are just fed up with losing their loved ones. The situation actually happened in 2021, but as a lot of you know, some of these situations take some time to come to the light. And recently, some things have been happening in this situation. We're going to be speaking about it today. But first, if you enjoy this type of content, all things lockup and crime related, then this is where you want to be. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell before you leave, and check out my playlist with many more videos for you to start watching today. Now, the story's taking place in Harris County Jail, Texas. A 19-year-old by the name of Fred Harris got into an altercation with Michael Ownby that left Mr. Harris brain dead. Now, before we talk about the gruesome incident, let's speak about why exactly they're in jail. Mr. Harris, who had no criminal history, was jailed for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Mr. Ownby's in jail for assault on a public servant. Records show that Ownby weighs 240 pounds and 6 feet 2 inches tall. Meanwhile, Mr. Harris was just 5'8" and weighed 98 pounds. Some people have said that Harris was just a 13-year-old kid trapped in a 19-year-old body. Now, a lot of people might be saying, why in the world was someone 98 pounds housed with a 6'2", 240 cat? Look, jail ain't no boxing ring. They don't go by weight classes. There's many cell blocks that I was in where guys weighed soaking wet a little over 100 pounds, maybe less. Might have had some medical issues going on, but it doesn't matter. The reason why they're in these cell blocks together is because of their charges. Classification, if it's a violent crime, you're going to go with violent offenders. That's just how it goes, and that's what Mr. Harris was in jail for, a violent crime. Now let's dive a little deeper into Mr. Harris and who he was. Keep in mind, he's the one that lost his life in this situation. Fred was a first-time offender with special needs. He was arrested for brandishing a knife at a group home for individuals with these type of special needs. Fred's mother was assured that the welfare of her son with an IQ of only 62 would be protected. Now, Mr. Harris actually graduated high school, and he must have gotten to some issues, later on down the road for him to be put into this group home setting, right? But it's not a mental home. It's a group home. If this would have happened in a mental hospital where he pulled out some kind of weapon or something at someone, chances are he wouldn't have been charged. He probably would have been dosed up and put in a restraint chair, padded room or something. So there's a difference here, right? But he's 19, he pulls a blade out on someone, and obviously that person got scared enough to tell someone and press charges. He's going to jail. It doesn't matter if it's his first offense. Look, I was 18 in jail with unlawful wounding. They put me in the top bracket with all the rapists and killers. I had to fend for myself, man, shuck and jive. Didn't have a lick of facial hair on me, man, praying every single night till I got the swing of things, right? So it doesn't matter. It happens all the time. People with the same kind of crimes, especially violent, go to the same kind of blocks. Doesn't matter what your past is at all. That's just how classification works. But his family's claiming they should never have been on the 6th floor. I'm guessing that was probably the maximum security blocks. And that might be true. General population, maybe they should have pumped him into the psych blocks. Or maybe they didn't know just yet his level of psychological imbalances. Everything in jail takes time, even down to finding out your psychological issues. So a lot of people go to these regular cell blocks until that's figured out. This is normal and typical. What happened to him was not normal and typical. And we'll get there one second, but let's talk about Mr. Ownby. Mr. Ownby was in jail for assault on a public servant. He also had a warrant for a misdemeanor for allegedly harassing his own mother. So Ownby had some issues going on. Definitely some anger issues if you were to ask me, going at his own mama. But other than that, there's not too many details on this guy, all right? Other than what he did to Mr. Harris. Let's get into that. Now, the night of the attack, according to the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Friday night at 11 p.m. That's lockdown time, right? They're in their cell. And the reason why I mention that is because typically, unless you got like an emergency button in the cell, some newer jails have that. If you're about to die or something, you can run and press that puppy and hope to God that someone's in the booth at the time, Or if you're just having a medical emergency and, your cellmate just trying to help you, you can press that button, talk to the people in the booth, say, hey, man down. Chances are there probably wasn't one in this cell. I don't know, but it's 11 p.m. lockdown time. He ain't coming out the cell. It doesn't matter what the issue is. The only way he's coming out is if a CO's alerted, whether by making rounds or, like I just said, the emergency button, or possibly just inmates screaming for help for him. You know, that happens sometimes as well. But those are really the only 3 ways, and if there ain't no COs around, then there's no way he's stuck in there to get beat to death all night long. Keep in mind, he's 5'8", 90-some pounds soaking wet. His cellmate's 240, 6'2". There ain't nothing homeboy would have been able to do to him. All he had to do is put his weight on him and it's game over. But court records say that in an unprovoked attack, which I highly doubt, Mr. Owensby smashed his head to the concrete floor, kicked him, and stabbed him with a sharpened eating utensil. The medical examiner says Harris died of blunt force trauma to the head and neck, probably from getting stomped for so long. And look, the family member said when they seen him, they couldn't even see no bones in his face. It was just, you know, when someone gets beat so bad, it's just nothing but swelling. That's what they said. And, you know, the picture of the guy that we did a story on just the other day, I already forgot his name. Dude from Alabama, man, he was beat unrecognizably just like that. A lot of these guys fighting in lockup, they don't stop when they're typically supposed to. They're getting some stress and anxiety out on your face, man. But unfortunately, Mr. Harris lost his life, right? And as far as the sharpened eating utensil, people probably like, was it a metal fork? Where was this? IHOP? Where'd he get it? No, it was probably the plastic sporks that the jail gives out. You know, when I first went to jail, they had plastic sporks, but they were hardened plastic. And it could have done something, man, even though it was a little flimsy. But look, the new sporks that they give out in certain jails, it doesn't matter how much you sharpen it up. If you stab anything, your hand, yourself, someone else, it's just going to bend. It ain't going in nothing. So if I were to guess, this jail is still using those outdated solid orange forks or sporks, you know, that could easily be turned into a weapon. Not no more, if you're to ask me. They probably got all them flimsy janks now. But that's just a little clarity for people that might be wondering about the eating utensil. Who knows, though? It might have been metal, but this is an unfortunate situation, man. 98 pounds, soaking wet. Homeboy's probably slinging him around like a rag doll. You know it, too. All you big guys out there got to fight with little guys, y'all know it. 98 pounds ain't... I curl 98 pounds. Not to fluff my feather, I actually go higher than that, but still, I could throw him that 98 pounds at least. If I'm spinning, you know, by the belt loop and everything, I could throw him at least probably about 5-7 yards. You know, so just me picturing the situation unfold, and that dude didn't stand a chance. And, you know, maybe his IQ had a factor in the attack. I've been locked up with individuals with the same IQ level or lower. Or I forget the condition, but a couple guys came in where they just can't control their mouth and they'll say curse words and disrespect people, not meaning to. Was it Tourette's or something? I can't remember. Either way, they came into cell block. It don't matter. You talk reckless to someone, they're going to get beat. They don't care about your condition. Talk about screwing your mom, man, you're getting beat, you know? So yeah, sometimes people's mental conditions could be the cause of them getting attacked. Maybe he's not smart enough when it comes down to street smarts and says something he shouldn't have said to the guy. Not knowing anything about jail, his first time in there, being surrounded by killers, and anybody could die at any given time by their cellmate. Maybe he didn't know that, didn't think it could happen to him, and he said something reckless to the guy. I don't know, I'm just speculating as to how things could unfold. Maybe Owensby has mental issues as well and should have been on the psych block too. But this is a perfect example, man. I tell you all the time, you can't trust nobody in lockup, not even your cellmate. People are ruthless or cutthroat killers, going through mental anguish, especially in jail where you're snatched away from your loved one's family for the first time. But this situation, I'm not going to lie, inmate on inmate physical attack, I mean, there's really nothing that these guards could do to stop that. Yeah, they can make the rounds, but guess what? There's that little 15, 20-minute window where they don't if they're playing it by the book. That's plenty of time to take someone's life in a cell. But look, there's video recording of this situation, believe it or not. And that's why this story was refreshed, because the family's pushing for it to be observed by the public. And they said once you see the video, you won't believe the level of the beating he took. So I'll be on the lookout for that. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be extremely gruesome. I can't bring it to y'all, but I can at least speak on it, you know? So that's the bulk of it, though. You know, another inmate killed by his cellmate. But Mr. Owensby, you know, he wasn't facing that much time either. He didn't have no crazy, ridiculous crimes that would leave him landed in there for life. But he is now, you know, with this fresh murder case. If I were to guess, maybe he didn't mean to kill him either. Like I say all the time, some of these guys, man, they just beat the hell out of him, not thinking that they're not going to wake up. Well, when you weigh 98 pounds or you just hit the wrong side of the head, then it could easily happen. Based upon what the family's saying, how gruesome the video is, chances are he was probably definitely trying to kill him. But always remember, prison and jail are two totally different things. And many people say prison's much worse, you can lose your life much quicker. Very true, but don't ever sleep on the county jail, man. It's one treacherous ride. Some of those guys getting sentenced to 20, 30 years life, they come back to the cell block, they don't know how to act. They're ready to kill something. But my condolences go out to the victim's family, and hopefully they get justice. Not to mention all the other families that's been going through stuff like this from this jail. Or any jail across the country, man. Nobody should have to be going to lockup for something minute, if you were to ask me. And not even going home. You're getting buried 6 feet deep. But to avoid all this stuff, I say this all the time as well. All you gotta do is follow the law. Don't be whipping out blades on people, man. Don't be threatening people. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't be stealing nothing that ain't yours. And don't be pumping the body full of toxins that could get you a felony. All kinds of things, man. Just follow the law. People do it all the time, man. Live their whole lives without having any situations with the police or ever going to jail, you know? So if they can do it, you can too. As always, ladies and gentlemen, y'all be easy, be safe, and stay free. Now, like I said, if you stick to the end, I'll show you the surprise of this beautiful sweater. The surprise is, it's not a sweater, it's a romper. I'm over here cranking out YouTubes in one-piece jumper janks.